guys.
Good evening, everybody. Woohoo! It's populating
Hello.
fast. Welcome to Mondays with Mooch, April 19th. Oh my goodness. We
Hi, everyone.
Good evening.
Good to
Got a
see
nice full
you.
house tonight. Hello, Joanne. Hi, Glenn. Hey, Stephen. Stephen's here early for a
Hello.
change. Hello, Dorothy,
Yes.
Hello, Jacqueline.
Leon,
Hi,
Loretta,
Glenn. How are you?
Marion,
Hi, Steve. Hi, Art.
Barbara. Hi, Gloria, and William. Bill May's here. Good to see you, Bill.
Oh, there's Boris. Hi, Boris.
Very excited. I even dressed up tonight. What do you think? What do you think, Jacqueline?
You look great, Carmen.
And Stephen gave me a new word. I'm wearing my lid. I've got my lid
Oh,
on.
your lid.
Big on wearing the lid.
Oh, that's great.
So,
All right. Well, I think we're almost at 5 minutes after. Joe, if you are ready to get us started and introduce our guest, I think we can begin.
Our guest today, Nicki Parrott, came from the quaint oceanside town of Newcastle. Newcastle, Australia, that is. Do you come from the land down under, where women glow and men plunder, where beer does flow and men chunder? Can't you hear the thunder? Oh yeah, Strya. Good on you, mate. The land where the summer is winter and the winter is summer. But no worries. It's the land where you throw some snags on the Barbie. Yes, the land of chook with hot crisps and Tommy sauce. It's the land of boomerangs, kangaroos, and koala bears. Australia is the oldest, flattest, and driest inhabited continent with the least fertile soils. It has a landmass of more than 7.6 million square kilometers. That's 2.9 million square miles for us Yankees. It's a mega-diverse country. Its size gives it a wide variety of landscapes and climates, with deserts in the center, tropical rainforests in the northeast, and mountain ranges in the southeast. Australia generates its income from various sources, including mining-related exports, telecommunications, banking, manufacturing, international education, and jazz. No, I'm kidding. That's not possible even here. Although some of those indigenous Aboriginal rock art found in the northwestern region is dated to at least 40,000 years ago. Looks an awful lot like dancing to jazz, at least to me. I'm beginning to doubt the old New Orleans origin story. What do you think? Bloody hell, mate. Nicki Parrott grew up not far from the country's largest city, Sydney, close enough to enroll at the New South Wales Conservatory of Music. It's really a beautiful country with lots of culture and music and everything you could ever want. But for some reason, Nicki was determined to make it to the shores of the United States. Most people there would say, nah, it's whoop whoop. Can't be bothered going that far. I think only Nicki will understand that one. Thanks to an Arts Council grant, Nicki left Australia, took that long-ass flight headed for New York City, and began studying bass with Rufus Reid. If you've ever flown to Australia, you know what I'm talking about. It takes 3 days to get there, 3 days to recover, and if you're lucky enough to have another couple of days, on your way back, you arrive here in the States before you left Australia. It's very strange. Puts you off for weeks. Anyway, once she landed here, the rest, as they say, is history. After studying, playing, and singing around New York City for a while, Nicki landed an especially prestigious gig at the very beginning of our new century, the year 2000. She became the bassist with the legendary guitarist Les Paul at his weekly appearances at Manhattan jazz spot, the Iridium.
I'm an evil girl. Don't you bother me. Yes, I'm an evil girl, Les. Don't you mess with me. just empty all your pockets and leave you in misery.
Les Paul became her mentor and encouraged her as a vocalist as well as a bassist.
I got Les on my left, I got Lou on my right, I got men every day, men every night. Oh, it's a lot of men. Don't know
As
what
part of
to
the Les
do.
Paul trio, Nicki works side by side with guitar greats, everyone from Paul McCartney / Steve Miller to fellow Aussie Tommy Emmanuel.
You know, I like older men. I think they're the best. One night with Les and you can forget all the rest. I'm an evil woman.
Since then, she has performed with everybody who was anybody and a few more. She's danced around the globe, performing in every jazz festival and cafe and jazz club you can possibly name, with such artists as Michel Legrand, Joe Wilder, Randy Brecker, Clark Terry, Jose Feliciano, Bucky Pizzarelli, John Pizzarelli, Dick Hyman, Patti LaBelle, the New York Pops Orchestra, Harry Allen, David Krakauer, Ken Poplawski, Ann Hampton Calloway, Bill Mays, Scott Hamilton, Larry Carlton, and Houston Pearson, just to name a few. Nicki recorded her first album, a Wabakai Suite, did I pronounce that right? With her sister, saxophonist Lisa Parrott. She also had roles on Broadway in the musicals Jekyll and Hyde, You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. Her first solo album, Moon River, was released in 2008 and consisted of jazz standards. She has since recorded dozens of albums as a leader and countless others for other artists. Several of her recordings were produced as tributes to people such as Burt Bacharach, Nat King Cole, Doris Day, Blossom Dearie, Peggy Lee, and the Carpenters. These days, like the rest of us, she's been staying put and safe with her family in her home in Connecticut. But she's had some interesting projects that she's conjured up, and I'm now ready to name her the Martha Stewart of jazz.
Well, today we have a fairly simple and delicious, but slightly messy dish to make. We're going to make chicken schnitzel with roasted sweet potatoes and a radicchio pear gorgonzola salad. So we're going to start with boneless, skinless breasts of chicken, just like this. Looks pretty good too. Just like that. Some pepper just like this. Murasaki sweet potatoes. I'd never heard of them before. Lots of olive oil. Shaken, not stirred. Give me a kiss to build a dream on, and my imagination will thrive upon that kiss. Sweetheart, I ask no more than this, a kiss to build a dream on. Time for our chicken schnitzel party. We've taken the chicken out of the fridge, got some flour with salt and pepper, 2 eggs whisked, and here is our panko breadcrumbs. You can also use normal breadcrumbs, but panko breadcrumbs give it that nice crispiness. A little bit of parsley mixed in, salt and pepper of course, and smoked paprika gives it a nice flavor. A kiss to build a dream on. Lemon, butter, and caper sauce. When I'm alone with my fancy, I'll be with you. And here we have it. Our chicken schnitzel party is about to begin. Woo! Well, it may not be a Cologne Kolsch But cheers. Guten Appetit, and see you next Monday. Cheers. Give your heart and soul to me, and life will always be la vie en rose.
In the before times, Nicki has appeared for Jazz Arts Project at our Summer Jazz Cafe, and I'm so happy she's joining us tonight. Folks, please welcome Nicki Parrott.
Floored by that introduction. That's the most amazing introduction I've ever had in my life. That was incredible. Thank you, Joe.
Hello there.
Hi.
I had a lot of fun with that, I have to say.
Bravo. That was well put together. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, nice to be here. Nice to see everybody. Hello.
Everybody, this is Nicki Parrott. It's some of you may remember we had her featured at one of our Summer Jazz Cafes a while back. I'm not sure the year. Unforgettable. You have a fan, at least.
Makes me very happy. Thank you. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
this cooking thing really intrigued me, and I know there's a story behind it because it looks pretty cool.
It was really cool. In fact, we did 5 episodes, and then we stopped doing it for a while, but I actually really want to get back to it. I think now we could even do it better. This was early in the quarantine. I was just cooking a lot, and my husband's very good on the technical side with the camera work and audio visual, all of that. So, and also my stepson helped out as well. So the 3 of us were here. Those first few months, right, we weren't going anywhere, and I was cooking all the things I always wanted to make, So I thought, well, let's try something. We'll do a little show where I cook something, but I also play a song or two. So I had a ball doing it, and that's why I want to do it again. It was too much fun.
It's really unique. I mean, you have what, 5 episodes under your gun, under the belt.
Yeah.
It's
How
really
do you see
unique and
these?
it's really cute. What, Carmen?
I said, how do you see them? Where do you see them? Are they online or where do you go to watch
Yeah,
them?
you can Facebook. It's on Facebook. Shay Nicki Jams, Nicki. Shay, 3 words. Shay Chez Nicki Jams. It's also on YouTube. All the episodes are up on YouTube. Shay Nicki Jams. It also raised money for Central Kitchen and the ASPCA, and so that was cool to be actually kind of making food and feeding people out there as well, all virtually. It's very interesting. So
That was very cool.
yeah.
Somewhere I thought I had the link here, but I maybe Jacqueline, you might have that. I think I sent it to you. If you put it in the chat box here, that might be cool.
Will do.
Now,
Well,
are you cooking favorite dishes or new dishes or dishes from your childhood?
That's mostly travels. That's a really good idea. I should think of some stuff, that my mom used to cook. My mom's a great cook. My dad cooks really well. So I should start going back to childhood. That's a great idea. It's mostly some travels. Like I have a thing we all have a thing for Italian cooking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spanish cooking is a new thing that I'm interested in. And just stuff that I remember eating great somewhere. And I thought, well, let me try to recreate that meal I had in blah, blah, blah. It was mostly from travels or from recipes from friends and family. And yeah.
That brings me to the question. You've traveled so frequently, at least before this past year. What can you say about the perspective you come away with, from traveling and then even you being from Australia, and so there's a very different perspective in seeing back here in the States and then the rest of the world.
Yeah, and every audience is different from Japan, across Europe, States, and Australia. audiences are really different, but that keeps it keeps you on your toes, but also it's fun to you know entertain a wide variety of audience, different characters, all kinds of things. So I do miss it, you know. I was doing a lot right before. So I've discovered some things I didn't know about myself, and that I actually like doing projects at home too, you know. So I still miss traveling, love to travel, you know, and it's a privilege to go on the road and perform in front of an audience. It's a thrill.
Well, I was thinking more in terms of the cultural differences. Are they become really profound when you travel that much, right?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. There is cultural difference, and also age-wise, you know, if I go to Japan, there's a younger audience there, you know, as opposed to maybe in Germany or a jazz cruise, or, you know, it's all um, very different, and also very wide. I play a very wide variety of tunes from early jazz all the way up through to modern repertoire.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, that varies depending where I am in the world, actually.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
You know, you and I have some mutual friends and acquaintances, starting with James Morrison, we had mentioned just before.
James,
Uh,
incredible musician. That's amazing musician. Plays everything.
Plays everything and even did, you know, one of these Zoom-like recordings before there was even a Zoom, right? Way back like 5, 6 years ago.
Right, I think it was or something like that.
What was it?
Yeah, I think that might. I'm not sure if that was a song, but it was incredible. He played every instrument except the
Played
drum.
every instrument and had like a squared, you know, like a grid of him in every instrument, and it worked well. It was surprisingly well done.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Bernard Pretty Purdy.
Bernard Purdy, yes, did a few gigs with Bernard, and
He he lives down this area,
has he really?
and yeah, and he's was one of our cultural advisors for the Jazz Arts Project. He's come and worked with our kids, our academy students a few times.
Wow, that's oh, no, that's incredible. The Purdy Shuffle, there's nothing like it. It's you
Yep.
cannot find this Bernard Purdy.
Sadly, Bucky Pizzarelli I know, was a very strong presence in your life, as he was around here as well.
Yeah,
Sadly, we lost him this year.
and I do miss Bucky because for me the experience wasn't just being on stage with Bucky, as great as that was, but we used to pick him up. My husband and I used to drive to northern New Jersey where he lived, and drive him around this area for gigs and drop him home, and have a routine with Bucky and his wife Ruth, and just talking to him and just talk, you know, hearing stories and his whole life.
Sure.
So that was a very big loss last year to lose Bucky. Very, very sad, actually.
If there are any questions, go ahead and put them in the chat, folks. We could certainly
We've got a
relay
question
them.
here.
Go for it.
I'm going to read one here from Stephen Heck, our board member, who, thank you, Stephen, for being here tonight. He asked, Nikki, did you have a connection with Blossom Dearie? There is something about your voice and presentation that reminds me of her. So can you tell us who Blossom Dearie is and what if there's a connection?
Um, Blossom, well, probably most of you know that she was a really terrific piano player, sang in 3 languages. She sort of blurred that line between jazz and cabaret very, very well. She lived in France, she lived in the States, and probably some of you saw her at Danny's Skylight Room. Anyway, for years people were saying, you sound like Blossom, you sound like Blossom. And I didn't even listen to her much. I didn't really know. And I finally heard this record, Give Me the Ooh La La with Ray Brown. And I know Ray Brown was on bass, I remember that. And it's a really great recording. And I just started playing that nonstop. And then I grew to style and her wit, and the fact that she picked really interesting repertoire of Dave Frischberg tunes, and she was just really cool, a really cool person. So I did a recording of her music on Arbors Records called Dear Blossom, and my husband and I wrote the title song called Dear Blossom. So yeah, I have a fondness for her, and I don't know if I sound like her. I don't try to sound like her, but I love her approach, that it's not over singing. It's just very cool. There's something very cool about Blossom.
Very nice, very nice. Let's see. We think I have another question here. Hold on. So another question is, whoops, excuse me. Let's see here. Who were your role models, both in the music industry and also in general, in life in general?
Ah, boy, very good question. As Joe was saying, Les Paul was an inspiration. He was very nice to me, very good to me, and those 10 years with him, I learnt a lot. Rufus Reid, who I came here to study with, and also John Clayton, big inspiration. All these incredible bass players, as you know, and also Ray Brown, who I had a lesson with a long, long time ago. There's many singers, like I'm working on the weekend with Catherine Russell, wonderful singer, wonderful person. There's so many. Even James Morrison, we mentioned, who helped me get my first start in Sydney at a jazz camp in Sydney. There's just so many people. My sister's a great musician. There's so many people throughout a whole lifetime that it's really hard to just, come to mind. But I've been fortunate to play with even Clark Terry. I had just a few gigs with him, but it leaves an impression, it leaves a mark on you that really stays with you. So
Yeah, these are the masters.
that's
These are
right.
truly the masters. Did you have a direction towards the bass or towards singing, or was it simultaneous?
Well, actually, it was Les again. I was booked only to play the bass with Les. I didn't sing in public. I sang at home. I sang for my own fun. But I was on stage just playing a bass solo, and Les stopped me in the middle of the solo and said, "Is that all you're going to do?" Um, so I was shocked. It was on stage. It was mid-set, and I said, "Well, that's what I was hired to do, Les, And he said, "Do you tap dance? Do you sing anything?" And I said, "Well, I mean, everyone sings at home, sure." And he said, "Let's hear it." So I sang "The Man I Love," I think it was, because I could remember the lyric. And he tapped me on the shoulder on the way off stage and said, "Leave that in." So I started singing all the time. At first I started singing to keep my gig with Les. I really loved doing that gig. So to keep my gig with Les, I sang every Monday night from then on. And then I just started to really enjoy it more. And I also found the challenge of singing and playing still is, it's like your brain working in two different directions. And I think that's really a good challenge. I like it.
So we have Les Paul to thank for your singing. That's great.
Yeah, and actually, well, soon after, I started recording for Venus Records. And so I got to learn, I had some singing lessons from people too, but I really got to learn how to sing by doing those records for Venus Records. And also Arbors Records as well. I started singing on Arbors Records. So I was very lucky to have those two.
You know Jay Lenhart, right? He has a whole thing about how it's impossible to sing and play the bass.
Yeah, he's right, but we still keep trying, right? But I love that song. I love Jay's songs. They're really original and they're great.
Speaking of singing and play the bass, would you care to share something with us live, and as they say?
Yeah, why not? Okay, just give me 1 second.
Talk amongst your folks, as friends, folks. Phew. Let me try that one again. Put the drink down. Talk amongst yourselves, folks.
Right.
All right. This song was written by Isham Jones and Gus Kahn. It's almost 100 years old, 1924. one of the most requested songs on jazz gigs, weddings, and anniversaries. What else can I tell you? It was sung by Diane Keaton in Annie Hall, Dooley Wilson in Casablanca, and by both Frank Sinatra and Harry Connick Jr. in When Harry Met Sally. I know you all know this song already, so sing along. Unmuted, muted, it doesn't matter. Sing along. Why do I do all that you say? Why must I just give you your way? Why do I sigh? Why don't I try to forget? It must have been that something lovers call fate kept me saying I had to wait. I saw them all, just couldn't fall till we met. It had to be you. It had to be you. I wandered around, finally found somebody who could make me be true, could make me be blue, even be glad just to be sad, thinking of you. On some others I've seen might never be mean, might never be cross, try to be boss, but they wouldn't do. For nobody else gave me a thrill. With all your faults, I love you still. Had to be you, wonderful you. It just had to be you. Some others I've seen might never be mean, might never be cross, try to be boss, but they wouldn't do. For nobody else gave me a thrill. With all your faults, I love you still. Had to be you, wonderful you, had to be you. Singing for you is what I wanna do. Had to be you.
That was wonderful. There you go. It's fantastic.
Very, very kind. It's an oldie but a goodie, isn't it? I like to. I haven't seen that one in public, but it's not in COVID, so
Yeah, it's timeless.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
You know, I remember Barry Harris told me one time that if you really want to know about jazz theory, study with a bass player.
Oh, is it? That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Because you know you guys have to be right there with the whole form and chord structure of every tune.
Right. I'm usually listening to the piano player to see where they're going, and that sort of informs my bass lines in a way. So So I think I actually listen to a lot of piano players. Interesting.
Are there any other questions? I can't see the chat room.
Yes, we have another question. Someone asked, do you still play flute and piano?
Yeah, I've actually been playing some piano a lot more in the last year. Sometimes I have some students. I find it easier to demonstrate certain things on the piano because you have chords and you have harmony and oh, that's sorry about that.
If it's for me, tell them I'm not here.
My mum and dad in Australia actually, so
Wow. You want to figure out how to get on,
I
right?
think Tony is Tony related to you? Tony Parrott?
Tony Parrott is my dad, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
joined.
You just joined, great. Okay, fantastic. Hi, Dad.
Hello, Tony. Welcome.
Hi, Dad.
Welcome from down under.
Yay.
So you're saying you're teaching students and it was easier on the piano to show chords?
Yeah. And also if you're arranging, like I actually managed to do a Venus record and an ABBA's record last year in 2020 and remotely too, actually. And I just find that you want to play some piano or some guitar or something if you want to hear the full chord, you know. And so I do like, I've lost the chops I had when I was a kid. I used to play classical like mad, and you know, now I hear some piano players like Rossano Sportiello and these players that just amazing chops on the piano. And so, the flute, if someone asks me to play the flute, I play the flute. The last time I did was for a concert at with the Columbus Jazz Orchestra. And so that was a while ago. I actually, also classical flute I did. And
So would you say bass is kind of your first love then, so to speak?
sorry, one more time.
Bass is your first love then, so to speak?
Well, it was the piano and then the flute and then the bass as a teenager because my sister needed a bass for her band. She didn't want a flute player. So I wanted a band, and so there was a bass at school, you know. I mean, funny enough, they had instruments in the band room and there was a bass there and it only had 3 strings, and I thought maybe you only need 3 strings. I didn't know you needed 4. And so I got another string and taught myself. I was primarily self-taught for the first few years.
Really?
Yeah, I just listened to records and tried to figure out what the bass was doing.
And how so you did that for a few years, and were you performing at that time as well when you were kind of picking it up?
We were playing in we had a group actually. There were 5, including my sister, and we were playing around Newcastle in pubs.
Oh wow.
Right.
Now is this before 18?
Yeah, it was actually.
And you're able to get in pubs?
Yeah, we did gigs, and somehow we were able to do it, and we in Newcastle.
So who's all in the band? You, your sister, and who else?
Yeah, they were all Aussie musicians. One lives in Germany now. One is a teacher and a great drummer that lives in Sydney, and a piano player who's very well known piano player, musical director John Foreman. He's a great musician. So everyone's still in music, and that's
amazing.
And really wonderful that everyone just kept doing music. Really nice.
Do you guys still in communication via Zoom or email of some sort?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot of history there.
Yeah, I think for me that's one of the good things about the better things for me about social media is I'm kind of, because there are actually gigs happening in Australia right now. The lockdown, well, it was stricter, but also the cases are so low that they've actually been out and doing gigs, and so it's interesting to me to see what's happening on the other side of the world. It's kind of one good thing about Facebook and things. You connected more to the other parts of the globe and have friends.
So there's a couple other questions. I'm going to put these 2 questions together because they kind of go together. One is from Richard. He says, how old is your bass? And then the other person asks, Trotman asks, how old were you when you started playing the bass? So I think you maybe in high school or something, you seem to, when you started playing the bass. So how old is your bass? And then
It's a little bit older than me. It's I'm gonna say 80 years old. Um,
Old?
I bought this bass from a bass player in the New York Pop. So I
Nikki, now your audio is getting muffled. Do you have a microphone somewhere?
no, I don't.
Okay. If you don't move too much, it'll help us here.
Right.
Okay, go ahead.
So I bought the bass off a guy in the New York Pops. Um, I was basically looking for a bass to buy at the time, you know, and he was standing next to me. I can't remember the bass player's name now, but he was standing next to me, and I'm like, wow, that's a beautiful dark sounding instrument. I really like this bass. And it wasn't for sale, but then he called me up next week and said, "Do you want to buy it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, I do." You know,
We didn't get the how old it was though.
I think it's close to 100 years old. These are these Czech
Really?
basses. They're very popular for jazz. Christian McBride plays a Jusek bass like this. And I think it was the 20s that they were importing them. And it so happened that most jazz players gravitated to this Czech bass, the Jusek bass. It's easy to get around and it has that sort of punchy sound that jazz bass players really like, you know. So
You know,
it's
How
a
do you
met.
maintain that? How do you maintain taking care of that?
Uh, I don't do a very good job of that actually. I mean, it's you know, I think everyone in the metropolitan, in all of New York, has worked on it because there's lots of different markings and tapes inside. It's been glued up several times and then it collapses again. I don't know. It is a complete mess. There's cracks all over it. Or anything. And I drop it. I bump it in a doorway and everything. But you know,
that's kind of standard. I once did a gig with Dennis Irwin. Remember Dennis?
wonderful bass player. What a sound!
Incredible bass player. But he's in the middle of the gig, his bass completely fell apart in his hands, and it was just like pieces all over the place. And I looked at him in horror,
Yeah.
and he said, "No worries." And he reached under the stage, and he brought out another bass that was intact. He apparently he was on his way to drop off the bass at the repairman, and he happened to have two basses with him. So he just pulled it out and kept playing.
Oh man, he was a trooper. What a great bass player.
Clearly, yeah, another great loss in our world.
Yes. How old was I? Was the other part of that question, right? When I
Yes.
14, 15. Now they have half-size basses, so I find that people are learning bass younger because of smaller basses that you can start with before you move to a three-quarter size. That's a three-quarter size that I play. But generally in those days, yeah, 15, teenager, you know, was when I started playing bass.
I have a nice little clip of a song from you I'd like to share. It's called They Say It's Spring.
Speaking of Blossom Dearie.
Exactly. So give me a minute. Let me conjure that up and keep talking while I figure out how to find it.
Okay.
I will say that when we come back, and then I'd like to talk to you about your new album, because you've got a new one just came out April 9th, I think, or yeah, brand new. So love to talk about that a little bit too, because I was I shouldn't say surprised, but I can sing along with a lot of those songs. So it's very, yeah. So I'm very happy, and I own some of the records. So for some of you who may not know, we'll do the video and we'll talk about it when we come back.
Okay. Spring has finally sprung here in Connecticut. It's a perfect day for a bike ride. Say good day to my biking companion, Humphrey. Thank you to everybody for all your donations to the World Central Kitchen and the ASPCA. We're going to have fun today. Welcome to Shay Nikki Jams, episode 3. Let's go inside and get cooking. So we're just going to stir this around a bit, let it cook for about 8 to 10 minutes. which gives us time for a song. The song I've chosen to do this evening was made famous by Blossom Dearie, and I was very fortunate to record this on the Venus record label on an album called Sakura, which means cherry blossom. I was also fortunate to record the song with a wonderful vocalist, Rebecca Kilgore, on an album on Arbus Records called Two Songbirds of a Feather. When I was young, I lived in a world of dreams, of moods and myths and illusionary schemes. Though now I'm much more grown up, I fear that I must own up to the fact that I'm in doubt of what the modern cynics shout of. They say it's spring, this feeling light as a feather. They say this thing, this magic we share together, came with the weather too. They say it's May, that's made me daft as a daisy. It's May, they say, that gave the whole world this crazy, heavenly, hazy hue. I'm a lark on the wing, I'm the spark of a firefly's fling. Yet to me, this must be something more than a seasonal thing. Could it be spring? Those bells that I can hear ringing, it may be spring. But when the robin stops singing, you're what I'm clinging to. Though they say it's spring, it's you. If poets sing that when a heart's sympathetic, it's merely spring, then poets' plights are pathetic, though I'm poetic too. They say it's spring, for lovers there's where the lure is, that evil thing, for which September the cure is. This they are sure is true, though I know that it's so, that my fancy may turn in the spring. With the right one inside, one can find a perpetual thing. Did I need spring to bring the ring that you bought me, though it was spring? That wondrous day that you caught me, darling, I thought we knew that it wasn't spring, 'twas you. It's my favorite time of year, even with spring allergies.
So who's the cutie there that you're holding?
How about that?
And that was Humphrey.
Oh,
Unfortunately, yeah, he's not here now, but boy,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
boy, what a great dog. And the artwork that was flickering through there is actually, because this was a family recipe, that particular recipe was from my cousin. So it was my cousin's artwork, my mum's artwork, and my grandmother's artwork that was, so I do come from a family of mostly painters, so I decided to highlight them in my husband. I thought we'd highlight him in that episode.
Now, is your husband a filmmaker or a director? Because you mentioned that he does your videos.
Yes, he's a creative director, so he wears many hats: audio, visual, video. He does artwork, all of this. He does everything. So he's super talented.
Very
Yeah.
nice, very nice. So we want to let you know that you can ask questions. If you would like to put a question in the chat, please feel free to do so, or turn your mic on and you can say hello and speak directly with Nicki this evening. So you have a new album out, and it's called, let me get the name right, If You Could Read My Mind, which looks like I actually was able to stream it, listening to it. Came out on April 9th. So that's like just about, I guess, a couple weeks ago. Was that right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell us about when you produced that album and what the concept was behind it? I have a little theory about it, so I'd be curious as to see.
I'm curious about the theory, but you know, it's what's very important for me this whole year of being in one place is to have projects that are meaningful, to have lots of things going on at the same time often too. And one of those was I always wanted to record an album of 70s and some 60s songs that I just happen to really like, you know, and I listened to a wide variety of music, and my husband and I had a list of like maybe 25, and we whittled it down to about 12, I think. And having the time to just write arrangements and you know, finesse them. And then I thought, how am I going to record it? Because the studio was only really allowing one or two other people. And I really wanted to have Lewis Nash and Harry Allen and a great guitarist, David Blenkhorn, lives in France, and Larry Fuller, wonderful piano player. So I was able to get all those players to be on board. And Rachel Domba from Abba's Records is wonderful. She says, do whatever you want, whatever your heart desires, go for it. So she was okay with recording this way and with the songs I chose. So Larry and I went into the studio at Trading Eights in New Jersey, and we put just the bass and piano tracks down, and then I sent them to Lewis Nash in Phoenix, put the drums on, and then sent them to Harry Allen, who has his own home studio now, and then all the way to Bordeaux in France, and the final guitar, and then I sang over the top. And the reason it worked for me was because the best players, great engineer, Chris Sullett at Trading Eights is wonderful, and you know, even though it was nerve-wracking to do something remote, I thought, if not now, when? I've got to try this.
Right.
And so I'm really happy with how it came out, actually. So.
Well, I enjoyed it, and we could hang out and do a listening party together, because I think I know every song on here except for maybe one. The only one that I didn't know was the Water Is Wide, which is seems like from a kind of a traditional folk song, Scottish folk song. So that was the only one I didn't know, but it's actually became one of my favorites. It's so gorgeous. The production of that was beautiful. So it introduced me to something new.
Oh, great. Thanks. Yeah, it's, I don't know, it just seemed to mean something to me last year. You know what I mean? I think we all went through a lot of different emotions, particularly in the first 6 months of this, you know what I mean? And so this song came to me, my husband introduced it to me, and I thought, yeah, I want to include that, because I sang it at a church service in Switzerland, and people really enjoyed it. And I thought, oh, note to self, keep that one in.
Yeah. And then some other favorites. I'll just read a few songs that are that I know that I enjoyed. Jolene by Dolly Parton. So the theme that I was noticing was singer-songwriters. Most of them were sung by the artist who sang it was also the songwriter for most of them. There were a few that weren't, but most of them. You Belong to Me, Carly Simon, Michael McDonald, which both of them have recorded that. We've Only Just Begun, Carpenter's classic, which fabulous. So that's what I noticed.
Yeah, and I hadn't even really put that together, but I think I am drawn to songs. Singer is a songwriter also. I'm drawn to that. Very, very astute. Yeah, that's right, actually. Yeah.
And do you write your own songs as well?
I do. I've recorded a few of them. I like some of them. So I actually want to write some more actually, and so I have a few songs, and also instrumental as well as vocal. But now I just want to write vocal songs. You know what I mean? It's fun to write lyrics. My husband and I write lyrics together often.
Now,
Well, you no doubt you wrote that blues that you sang to Les, right?
That might have been Dinah Washington's, but I probably changed the lyrics. That's another thing I like to do. I like to take tunes and just completely change the lyrics of tunes. I think that keeps a song fresh in a way. Like I take a song like I'm Hip and I don't sing it the way it was written. Make it fresh. Talk about what's going on now. And I think people like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great. Yep.
so is it okay if I show my little clip, Joe? I've got a little clip I want to show you guys.
Yeah. We generally have to get our little commercial in there.
Yes, it's a little commercial, but I'm doing something different. You know, Joe has really pushed me forward in terms of getting a more comfortable with Zoom. So now I have a background. I'm all dressed. I'm not staring at the screen like this. So, so this is something new I'm trying. So please bear with me. You can give me your feedback, and here we go.
Say those words like you just did. Oh, baby, tell it to me once again.
I want to thank you all so much for joining us tonight on Mondays with Mooch. That is our wonderful and talented guest, Nicki Parrott. She is doing the single, Do That To Me One More Time, written by Tony Tennille from Captain and Tennille. I own that on vinyl. I love collecting records. I have quite a few back here. That's one of the favorite things I do. Another favorite thing that I do is ask for people to support Jazz Arts Project. So I'm asking you tonight, if you haven't given or if you want to give again, please continue giving to Jazz Arts Project. You can give to us at jazzartsproject.org/give. I also want to give a big shout out to people who have already supported us during Jazz Appreciation Month. I'd like to thank John M., Kathy H., Helen B., William V., Stephen S., Stefania R., Phyllis B., Nicole G., Naomi C., Joseph D., John R., Irene M., Coastal Accounting Group, Faith T., Chris D., Carl B., Annie K., Gloria G., John K., Connie G., Harvey and Loretta S., and a great friend of mine, Margie and Zeke Z., and another wonderful friend of mine, David A., a great friend of mine from back in the day, Mark S., my neighbor, Lynn M., and a very special thanks to Lisa L. Thank you for supporting Jazz Arts Project. Your contributions help us continue doing high-quality performances like Summer Jazz Cafe and Jazz in the Park, and they also help us continue our music youth education programs like Middle School Summer Camp and the Jazz Arts Academy, which teaches high school students how to play jazz. So enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you for supporting us. Have a great night. Okay, there we go.
Very well done, Carmen. Very well done.
I was late getting online tonight because I did it like 5 minutes before we went off. So I wanted to share the music, and I had to play it through my stereo, and I can't play it on the phone and the computer at the same time.
What a fantastic little bit. Thank you, Carmen. I also have to get this in there. This program is made possible in part by funds from Monmouth Arts, a partner of the New Jersey State Council on the Arts, and the Monmouth County Board of Chosen Freeholders, which I understand are no longer freeholders. I forget what they're called, but they used to be called freeholders. Commissioners. County Board of Chosen Commissioners now.
No,
Thank you.
Just commissioners.
Just commissioners.
Oh, just commissioners. All right. I'll change that for next time. But thank you again. Thanks for everyone's support. Thank you, Stephen. And Carmen, great job. Wonderful.
Some of those folks are here with us tonight. I know Mark S. is in the house, and John M. is here. And I believe Harvey and Loretta are here. So thank you. And Stephen, of course, is here. Thank you so much. So I wanted to be able to highlight some of the music. So I got to play a little bit of the Captain and Tennille song that you did.
What a great idea.
I have the Carpenters too, but I couldn't pull that album out fast enough. So I'm a big vinyl collector. I don't know. Do I grew up on that music as well. That's some of my favorite music that I listen to. I collect records. Do you collect vinyl at all? Do you have, or do you do a stream?
Yeah, I stream. I do have a friend here in Connecticut. He gifted us his whole collection of jazz records. It's all vinyl.
Hmm.
We have this amazing, really generous vinyl collection. They also do vinyl of all the Japanese records in
Oh,
Japan.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
So in Japan, all the jazz is vinyl, or everything is vinyl?
No, when they do a CD, they also do a vinyl.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really?
So that's a really nice thing that they do on Venus Records. So yeah.
Is there any particular? I know that all songs are wonderful songs, but do you have a particular favorite on this album that has a special memory, special?
Good question. Because they all have their own memory. I can see clearly now it came out quite differently to how I imagined because of the remote recording.
Mhm.
I didn't really explain what I wanted. I just said, try something.
Okay.
But it came back. It was like, oh, never thought of the song that way.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, that's the beauty of not talking about it beforehand, just kind of recording it and then coming back with a finished product. And so I like the way that I can see clearly now it came out. I like the arrangement of Jolene.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's much different to Dolly's version, although it's hard to do better than. I mean, you can't. Dolly's version is wonderful. So I had wanted to do something really different. So I'm really happy with how that came out. They're all too different. So
I think it's
something to me in certain ways. Like that song, "Do That to Me One More Time." I heard it growing up.
me too.
In the 70s, and I thought, why not?
It was huge. There was a show called Solid Gold. I think it was featured on a lot. I used to watch that. I always find it funny that Every Breath You Take I thought was very beautiful as well, and I enjoyed that one. And I always find that's a Police song, which was written by Sting. I always find it funny because Sting always says that that's a song about stalking.
Right?
I
Yeah.
said everyone's interpreted as a very romantic kind of song, but I find it funny that he says it's a song about someone stalking. I'm like, well, I said the audience has made it their own, and we've given it a whole different meaning.
That's right. That's right. And it's a song that was really big when I was a teenager. And I thought, well, this is going to work if I swing it, I think. And it did. So I was really happy with the swing version of that. I like it.
So now you said you have upcoming gigs. Are you going to be performing somewhere soon?
Gig.
Or online?
I have a gig coming up this Sunday at the Montgomery County Community College. It's actually, I'm playing bass with Catherine Russell, Brianna Thomas, Shani.
Oh, wow.
Lady sings, yeah, great singers.
That's going to be streamed? That's going to be...
I believe so. 5 to 7, Montgomery County Community College, April 25th, 5 to 7. So I have that coming up this week. And then I have a week off to prepare for Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra with Byron Stripling. So we're co-leading a jazz with symphony orchestra project.
Sure. Say hello to Byron. He was one of our guests on Mondays with Mooche early on last year. Yeah.
He's not only a great conductor,
It's terrific.
trumpet, singer, everything. Fantastic.
So you're going to be performing in person, and I guess you'll be...
That is going to be video only, I think.
A video only.
I think Sunday is actually possibly live. I don't know. I haven't done a live gig in a while. I'm not actually sure. But I think they're both basically video.
Oh, so no audience, just video streamed.
Right. And so I will hopefully be able to provide links on Facebook or on my NickiParrott.com.
Are you doing that jazz cruise that's coming up in, I think, the fall?
The jazz cruise I'm doing, it's supposed to be going ahead, and I believe it will, is January. It's called The Jazz Cruise, and that's going to be in January.
Yeah, January. Okay.
17 to 24, I think, offhand.
That's great. If everybody looks for the Jazz Cruise, it's a great trip. and lots of great jazz on that cruise.
Fantastic trip. Yeah, a lot of good musicians, and it'll be the
Well,
first time seeing everybody back. I'm imagining, you know.
Yeah, it may be the first big bash.
So I'm going to open it up one last time before we get ready to conclude our evening. Is there anyone who has a last question, final question for the evening? Any comment for Nicki tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to say something.
Who is
I've
that?
had a-
Is that Joe?
Yes.
Hi, Joe. Go ahead.
I'm in South Carolina right now, but I've lived in New Jersey, originally from Brooklyn. And I went to a club, well, it was a restaurant in Central Jersey on a golf course, Lana's, and I saw you there with Warren Vichet. And the place was practically empty. I was standing at the bar, and on the break, you walked over to me and almost floored me. So we had a brief drink together.
You devil you.
I'll tell you what, though, I did see in person who you were talking about, the singer,
Blossom
Dearie, in Manhattan in the early 50s, somewhere around that time. I used to take my dates there to this club, and she happened to be there that night. I couldn't believe it. With her little tiny voice. You have a much larger voice. But she was cool, as you said.
It was very, very cool. Very cool. That's
Well,
right.
anyway.
Oh, thank you for telling the story. That's I remember Lana's, actually.
I used to go there frequently, talk to Warren, tell him I'm a frustrated trumpet player since I was about 5. And we'd go out for a smoke, and he said, bring your horn sometime. Before I knew it, the place stopped jazz, and that was the end of that. So anyway.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
That's Lana's, what, up in Bloomfield or Newark or something?
No, it's Westfield.
Oh.
It was near Metuchen, not too far from Metuchen. I used to go to the Cornerstone there, which was really great at one point. I mean, they had a lot of, I even talked to Doc Cheatham and asked him, Doc, why are you pressing number 3 valve down? That's not a legitimate note. Imagine me telling Doc who played with Louis. And anyway, so I really enjoyed tonight, and thank you much for letting me say a few words.
No, thanks, Joe. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you, Joe. You know, you mentioned Warren Bechet, another great mutual friend of ours, and in fact, the culmination of our month-long Jazz Appreciation Month here at the Jazz Arts Project will be Friday, April 30th at 7 p.m. We have a live stream concert experience with Warren Bechet's quartet live. No audience, though, at an undisclosed location. And we're going to live stream it right here on Zoom, as well as YouTube and Facebook. So mark your calendars. There is a link somewhere on our website for that experience. So please join us on April 30th with Warren Bechet. Nicki, I did invite you to that one, but you were going to be away. I think one of these gigs was getting in the way.
Yeah.
But thanks so much for coming. This was fantastic. It was a lot of fun.
It was really fun. Thank you for putting all the videos together, all the work you put in. And the production was.
I had a ball. I'll send you a copy of that, actually, if you want.
Yeah, please do.
Let's see. Anybody else? If everyone wants to unmute themselves, we can give Nicki a big round of applause. Starting with this one.
Nicki.
In fact, there's a bigger one.
My question for...
Sure.
Am I on? Okay. My question is, did you ever find it difficult to be a bass player and a woman? Were you accepted as a bass player readily, or did you really have to work hard to be accepted?
Well, I think that I think to be a musician, you have to work hard, and so I've always just believed, and I still do, that if you just keep focusing and working hard and do what the gig is, eventually you'll get acceptance. Not everyone will, and so yeah, occasionally I may not have got a gig, but I have to say the musicians that I've worked with have been just really, really encouraging, and so. Yeah, I haven't really thought about it too much because if there was not a gig to be had here, I went here. So I just kept focusing on learning tunes, learning the repertoire, being able to, making sure I could do the gig. That's the most important thing for anybody. Can you do the gig? That's, what the gig is, so it's hard to say. I've just worked all my life and been fortunate. So I'm lucky.
That's wonderful. This will make perhaps other young girls say, "Look, she's playing bass. This is wonderful. I've always wanted it, but everybody said no. It's too heavy. It's too big.
Heavy.
Play something like a violin."
Right.
I think it's great that you're showing another way.
Well, I do mentor young girls, you know what I mean, who want to do it but are a little bit afraid. So I do have a couple of teenage students that I mentor, and it's been great because I've been home more to do that. That's been a really nice thing to do.
Wonderful, wonderful.
This has been great tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. And go ahead, Joe.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks so much. And remember, what did I say? April 30th, Warren Vesche Quartet, right here in Zoomlandia. So what happens? What's going to happen now is I'm going to turn off the recording and turn off the Facebook feed after just this one little last bit, and then anyone who would like to, we have what's known as our after gig hang, where we can hang for a few minutes and chat without the restrictions of being recorded. So let's do this. And thank you guys so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.